Let's go!
If we put it all together, right?
Yes, sir. Hell yeah.
Boomer Sooner! Holy crap! The most shocking result was Oklahoma running the Crimson Tide off the daggum field. And thank goodness the big offensive story is not Jackson Arnold. Yes, he gets the headlines, but finally Oklahoma found themselves a running back. So you have a guy who couldn't get snaps to save his life, who's actually good. And then you have one of the more inexplicable things I've ever seen a five-star do. Fumble for the third time in the first half of an SEC game. It is unbelievable. But guess what? The best running back in the SEC did as well. And I wish my LSU Tigers were disciplined enough, because the only reason Alabama really blew out LSU, Milroe missed a lot of throws in that game, is because Oklahoma actually knows how to guard a zone read. You know on 2nd and 3 that Milroe is going to keep it. You know it, okay? And guess what? You're able to stop it, and then you eventually force a field goal. Really good disciplined defense, and I'm telling you, the most underrated player in the SEC this year has been 32 Thomas. That Sooner magic was brewing, baby. Somebody call David Blaine, because this is true sorcery. My goodness gracious. We're playing good old simple power football. This kind of feels like something that Josh Heupel would do. Spread these receivers all the way out wide. Tighten these splits and get tight, baby. Let's go. Pull the guard around, and then what they do that's very interesting is it looks like this tight end is split zoning to the left, and then he cuts back and actually becomes the lead blocker. Okay, I know Sharp has had an up and down season, but overall he's been a good player, and this is a good job at Jackson Arnold getting skinny. Also, give a lot of credit for this double and the seals to the inside, and look at that. Arnold just has to get skinny and run right up the smack dab middle. 18 wasn't ready for it. Moment too big. Coach 30 pissing down your leg. And guess what? It's time for Malachi Moore to make the touchdown saver. He's able to do it. But the QB run game, you would have never thunk this going into the game, was more effective for Arnold than it was for Milroe. All right, much has been made about the decision over who's actually going to call the plays for the Sooners. All right. And guess what? You call the perfect trick play, and you get an absolutely wonderful look. Zero blitz. They're bringing everyone. So you're getting something quick for Arnold to throw. You got cut blocks across the way. When you're doing these cut blocks, this is really well coached. You have got to make sure that you're not hitting somebody else that's actually being cut block. So to prevent that, you have all 5 of these guys cutting down low, all right? And they're all effective. Rarely do you see them all executed like this. Something else that's really effective about a cut here is because you're throwing the ball backward, it gives you more room to get this off anyway. And guess what? It's like Alabama has never seen a double pass before. 18 was in a blender all night, and all you have to do, you can see everybody's excited. This is going to be a walk-in touchdown. It's kind of weird. This is one of the, and I know it's a receiver, one of the weirder throwing motions you'll ever see, but he does get this football up, and you've just got to make this catch. I'm sorry. I understand you're a tight end. You've got to catch that. I mean, come on, be a freaking athlete. He's not able to, and you're forced to kick a field goal, and you miss it. All right, Alabama fans, you are livid after what happened last night. One of the big developments in this game, Lawson getting hurt and leaving, was big. And remember the last time we showed you that fake, the cut blocks worked. This time, none of them worked. And guess what? There's a lot of penetration, all right? So Arnold has to make a very, and I mean very difficult throw through a lot of traffic. And look at this throw. Bang, okay? 15 has been hit or miss this year for Oklahoma, and he is off and running, okay? Really, really, really good stuff. Now, this will come off wrong, and I'm not piling here, but the one position in football where you are hurt the most on defense with a guy having a bad game is safety, all right? This should have been a pretty easy drive down on this inbreaker for Hubbard, the safety, okay? And you'll see that he is late. This should have been an ear hole at the very least, but he's late to react, takes a bad angle, and he cuts off his own corner. All right, that's as bad as it gets on that play. And lucky enough, Malachi Moore is a specialist in the touchdown saver. Good stuff. Yeah, so this has been a thing that's happened for a few teams in the SEC. It's a running back that you kind of don't expect to be the one that breaks out, right? So true freshman, actually a guy that Oklahoma lost to LSU in the recruiting battle was Caden Durham, right? No one expected Caden Durham to be what he's been for LSU, and no one expected Robertson. You see, on this run, there's nothing here. So the fact that he presses and then bounces shows a lot of guile and creativity. And one thing, and we'll get to this a little bit later, that I really like about him is he is all about the Sooners. Okay, so for brevity, we're skipping a bunch of really good plays on this 2-minute drive, right? Robertson making really good blocks and good runs as well. And this time, because he's been running the football effectively, these zone reads become that much more effective. So 22 or 23 right here shoots to the inside. I know that looks like Sharp's getting beat really bad, but that's a very difficult block for a tight end. Arnold sees it and pulls it, okay? And you see all these backers are flowing with Robertson. They're thinking he has it, and look at all that gravity he causes because he's been running the football effectively. He's been making guys miss, and that allows this play to bounce for a big gain, and you get a pancake with extra syrup on the outside on the corner, and Jackson Arnold is cooking. Alrighty, Oklahoma fans, I need your help because I don't think I've seen this team run this run concept all year. I don't think so. And what you're about to see is going to give you chills. And I understand I'm the film study guy, but the funny thing is I am not a high-level player. I'm not a high-level coach, so you guys probably figured that out already. But the truth is, BRENT Venables needs to be asked about this play in particular. Now, I love 21. You guys know it. You can see that I'm really enjoying watching him play. That is very risky to stick the football out at the goal line like that. I would instruct my running backs, unless it's fourth down, to not do that. But he does score. All right, Sooner fans, I know the last thing you want to see is a Josh Heupel Tennessee highlight. But I want to know if you've seen Oklahoma run this play all year long, okay? I want you to remember this. You're pulling the guard, pulling the tackle, and you're actually running in the opposite direction of the pullers, all right? I've begged and pleaded for many OCs to run this run concept because it is unorthodox and it's near impossible to stop. And if a defense is very aggressive, this is going to work a lot. Now, there is a fumble at the end of it, but there you go. Now, this is very interesting because what makes this version even better is the sequencing of this play call. So on the last play, it was a zone read pull to the left that worked. Now, Alabama's thinking, okay, they are probably going to do something to the left again, or they have to really appreciate Arnold's ability to pull because there is a guard and a tackle pulling in this direction. So if you're the Alabama defense, once you see that these pullers are going to the left, you're thinking, especially after a quarterback run to the left, that they are actually running a quarterback power to the left, right? So all those previous Arnold runs help set this up, including the previous play. I've not seen Oklahoma run this play, and because it worked Tennessee, it's so hard for this DT, even if you blow this block, to make this play, all right? The center has to get all the way out of here on this 3-tech. You're never making that block. But look, the thing I like about this rush design in particular is none of the offensive linemen have to execute their block for the play to work. In fact, obviously 52 blew this block, but he's never really making this block. Guess what? It's the design that's blocking this play. All of these guys could have whiffed their blocks, and this was still going to work because the actions of the offensive line is what fooled the Alabama linebackers. They did not execute any single block. Also, the wide receiver missed his block on the outside. It still worked. That's how good of a play design this is. And 7 puts number 2 all the way back to Oklahoma City, and it's a tutty. Man, it's brilliant stuff, brilliant scouting, and you get a huge touchdown. And this is the second game of the year. You can include Auburn into this, where you might not have played like just unfreaking believably, but they'll see Prentice blow his block after getting a touch. Now you got to be a complete player, and this is just bad for Milroe. Really bad. And what is this from Ryan Williams? What kind of patty cake BS is that, man? He's more worried about his nails being painted than stepping up and being physical. And you got to make the touchdown saver. You got to do whatever. I mean, he's fast enough to catch this guy. And what happens? He doesn't make the play. He slows up, right? Because he thinks Milroe's going to get him, which he does. But, man, come on. You got to be better than that, man. And, look, Arnold, 9 of 11, 68 yards. This isn't any Sam Bradford level player or anything like that, but he didn't make the back-breaking mistakes like Milroe. And sometimes in college football, it's just all it takes. I also want to shout out Robertson, right? 21. This actually is a really good design. Florida's actually been running this a lot. Fake like you're jet running this, and then you're actually just pitching it to the outside. They actually run an even more creative variation. And once again, when you're getting creative in your run blocking or in your rush scheme, and you actually have a running back who can have some juice, it doesn't matter if you're getting blown up, right? It does not matter, all right? That's as bad as you will ever see it, all right? Who cares? You're bouncing this to the outside, and it's a touchdown. I want to shout this guy up because Oklahoma did him wrong. Played him only a few snaps versus Texas and a few other snaps. His red shirt should have been preserved. There was no point in only playing him 2 snaps in a few games earlier this season. So for him to come out and play as hard as he did, that shows he really loves being a Sooner. And then we get the backbreaker here, which is the same exact mistake my dear beloved LSU Tigers made. Garrett Nussmeier just believing that this vertical is going to shield the overhang defender picking off this out, right? You just can't assume as a quarterback, especially if you're not the quickest in terms of release and all that stuff, just because there's a vertical and they're playing off coverage doesn't mean that this linebacker can't get all the way over here on the out, especially if this is being run into the boundary. It's not as long of a distance. You see, Tent's not even really just sprinting out here, and this is just a pick six going the other way. So, man, this was a freaking ridiculous game plan from Brent Venables. And the guys and gals that really deserve a lot of credit, I don't even know what Milroe is doing right there, are the Oklahoma Sooner fans, right? We saw so many teams crumble at night on the road this year in the SEC, and Alabama certainly did. 3 of their 4 SEC losses, of course, on the road. My LSU Tigers made these guys look like 2020 Alabama. I think you got to go in the portal and get a new QB. I love you. But you're actually coming to an actual college football environment this next Saturday in Death Valley. You stand no chance versus the fighting LSU Tigers, baby. Get ready to get crushed. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight we're doing gumbo. Let's go.